Well, hello, Quest. I love these opportunities to be able to touch base with you, even if it's just by way of a video newsletter. But thank you for the opportunity to be able to touch base. Here we are a few weeks after Easter. We're headed towards summer. Spring is trying to let go a little bit towards summer, but all this rain helps everything be green, so it's kind of sweet. But as we go along in this thing, I just want to take us back to the basics. I just want to remind us of what we're doing here in all of this. And it's really pretty simple, and we've hopefully been communicating that through this journey we're taking through the Gospel of Matthew. At the very end, it says, go and make disciples, followers, people who are surrendered to Christ in a relationship. Now, I want to make just a few thoughts. One is what we're doing as a church has a danger to it. In other words, to say and to encourage people to have a relationship with Christ and then to be a part of a group and to share Christ with other people, there are times where it can begin to feel like an enterprise, like we're entrepreneurial and we are trying to develop a company, if you will. We don't say it in those terms. We would never say it in those terms, but it can begin to feel like it's a company we're trying to expand or get new franchises or more people in the door and sell more product and have them be a part of something that's simply an enterprise. But actually, that's not it at all. The call of the gospel is to a relationship with a living God who is holy, who is infinite, but is also personal, who is also loving. And it's a relationship of walking with him and understanding that we live in his grace. I haven't earned anything. It's for by grace that I've been saved through faith, and not of myself. It's a gift of God that no one's ever earned or deserved, but something that he gives freely to us, right? And so that what it is about a relationship, and then in its time and in its place and its appropriate way, is to share that with people, because in many ways we're just beggars standing in line together trying to help people and help one another find bread somewhere. And that we'd be very kind to if we found where there's bread, to be able to share that with my fellow beggars. That's what we're doing here. And so when we turn it into an enterprise, I think we violate what it's really all about. In fact, it brought to mind to me a passage in Galatians chapter 6. I just want to touch on it for a second. He says in this passage, verse 1, brothers, fellow brothers and sisters, the family of Christ, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness, to help bring back, encourage, lift up, call back with a spirit of gentleness. It says, keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. So if there's people who are struggling, hey, let's not be too prideful about this. In fact, humility is the name of the game, because we too could be tempted and fall to the same thing. And then in verse 2 he says, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. So to bear one another's burdens, this word to bear, and to bear a burden, this word bear is a word that kind of represents when there is a load that's too heavy for someone to carry. When there's too much, it says, let's come alongside and bear one another's burdens with them. Carry that. It's like if we were to say, hey, you can have this piano, but you need to carry it from here to over there. And you go, well, it's just way too heavy. It's too hard. Can't do it. Say, there are some things in life that are too heavy. And so we bear one another's burdens. We gather around and we carry that piano together for the time that's necessary to get them through the trial or the tragedy. And so we bear one another's burdens in all of that. Now, the danger of that is that maybe we begin to call things that are too heavy for us to carry that actually aren't. Because life is hard, life is a challenge, life takes courage, life takes us kind of bearing up and doing things, sometimes even when they're really hard. But they're kind of ours to do. And so the passage goes on and it says, "For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let each one test his own work, and when this reason to boast will be in himself, not alone, and not in his neighbor." But it says, "For each will have to bear his own load." So in verse 2, it says, "Bear one another's burdens," but in verse 5, it says, "Each of you has to bear your own load." The Greek word there for bear is like a backpack weight. And that every one of us has a backpack of responsibilities, difficulties, issues, things we put in our backpack that are ours to carry, responsibilities. And that's important that we learn to bear that backpack that God has given us. Now, there's a line, right, somewhere between that backpack being the appropriate size and weight and there being a burden that's too heavy. It's too much weight. I'll never forget, well, soon after college, I was a part-time youth director of a church in Colorado, and we took the kids backpacking. And I knew, as an adult, as the leader, I probably needed to carry a pretty heavy pack, so there was lots of extra things. And so I loaded my pack really heavily. And it was probably too much, but I needed to do it. It was my responsibility. And so I had almost 100-pound pack. And it was really taking its toll on me. But one of the young kids had a pack that was probably appropriate, but she wore out, totally wore out. And in fact, she got hypothermia. She was so worn out, she couldn't keep her body heat going. And so partway up, we had to take her pack and take everything out of it and give it to a bunch of other people, including myself. And I needed to help bear the burden for Debbie as a young gal, middle school kid. And we needed to bear her burden. And when we got up there, one of the adult leaders, one of the gals, helped her regain the ability to be warm. And it was scary. I think we were, in fact, in a very dangerous place with her. But there are times you have to carry your own load, and other times you have to help others carry their load too. You can't do it forever, but you can do it for a while. And that's what the body of Christ is all about, is bearing one another's burdens, the things that are too heavy to carry for a while in someone's life, but also encouraging one another to carry our own backpack really well. So that's kind of the Christian life. We're helping people be followers of Jesus. We do the journey together, and we encourage one another along the way, and at times take the load, or at least part of the load, off their shoulders. And I'm excited about that. Now, you guys are bearing the load a little bit. For me, on Friday the 29th, I'm going to have surgery to redo a hip replacement that I did 19 years ago. So I'm going to be out of commission for a little bit. Should go really fine. Should be no big issue. Just going to take a little while to get this done. Thank you for your prayers. I don't know exactly how long the rehab process is going to take and the recovery. It depends on kind of what happens when they get in there, because there's some questionable issues. And so we'll let you know how it goes. But I will actually, honestly, really miss you guys. I get a kick out of doing what I get to do. So thank you so much for the privilege of being a shepherd among the other shepherds on the elder board and other leaders in our church. I get a kick out of this. So thank you so much. Okay? All right. Be well. Be safe. Be courageous. And follow Jesus. And don't make him into an enterprise, but into a sharing of the greatest news the world's ever conceived of. The reality of the love of God through his Son. Pretty good? All right. Take care. Love you.